Welcome back to episode 19.5. I'm your host, Keith Cunningham. This is
Travis Gearhart, and we are here with
Dion from Dion's Daily Dose, Dion Bergeron.
Dion. So you guys have seen us. We've had Dion on technically a couple of times. We did the one episode, but it was on his platform, and then we also did the
presidential State of the Union.
Yeah, the State of the Union address. So we've you guys have seen Dion before, but we haven't gotten a chance to have him on the show and like really talk about what he does, talk about his past running. It's one thing to have him on and kind of talk shit like we do, but it's another thing to have him on as an official guest, right? So Dion, tell us about. I know you had a run for Congress. Tell us all about that. Let's start with that.
Well, okay. So back in 2019, the announcement was in the newspaper. Back when, people read newspaper. But the announcement was in the newspaper that Pete Visclosky was retiring after an eternity in Congress. And I called the Republican Party phone number that was in the book. And I just want to say this right out the gate. I hadn't even been to the Republican Party headquarters. I hadn't participated in anything. But my question to them was, okay, he's stepping down. What is your plan? What are you guys going to do? And unfortunately, for 2 out of the 3, I was the one that told them Visclosky was retiring.
That's funny.
So, yeah. And to be fair to the guys and gals that are doing this is not a paid position. Being a chair, a vice chair, all that stuff, you don't get paid for that stuff. It's not till you get deep into down, in indie politics that any of this stuff pays any bills. So I got to be fair there. And I think it was Mike Simpson from Porter County that actually let me know that via, an email. And he was absolutely right. This is a volunteer position. Anyway, they didn't know anyone running, and I wasn't really intimately familiar at that point yet with everyone's favorite perennial candidate, Mark Leyva. So
Mark Leyva,
good old Mark Leyva. So anyway, I started kind of asking around and guessing, and I actually went and I was going to support Mark because I thought that if there was ever a good opportunity for him to actually win, this was it. And I went and I met with Mark, and he essentially wanted me to knock doors in Michigan City for him. And I was like, okay, happy to show you around Michigan City. And his answer was basically, no, you go do it.
That sounds also very Mark Leyva.
Anyway, I talked to a lot of people, and they said that's kind of how it was nowadays. Now, I don't know if it was always that way, but that's how it was now. And I said, you know what? Damn that. I'm not going to go out there and work for a candidate if they're not going to work for themselves.
Well, speaking of Mark Leyva, when I was running in the primary for town council, if you remember, Travis, I had that spaghetti dinner. Mark Leyva showed up to it, not to come meet me or talk to me or anything like that. He was running at the same time. It was to come in there and, put his shit out there on my dime. So who the fuck are you?
Yeah. So, yeah. So I decided, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to run for Congress. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I had no idea what I was signing up for. No idea the level of work. But interestingly enough, like I said, this was 2019, beginning of 2020. There was this huge event that everybody knows about. And I had a good friend of mine that nowadays is a good friend. I had actually not known him that long, but he supported me for the campaign. And he comes to me and he goes, "You're starting a podcast." And I said, "I am." He goes, "Yeah, listen, hear me out." So he laid it out for me, and it made a lot of sense with the circumstances, with everything that was going on. How else are you going to get out there and meet people? People were freaking out if you came to their house, and whatever, we can discuss
what was the big event? I'm drawing a blank. What was the big event in 2019? I forget. That it had something to do with shocking.
Yeah. So I don't know, something about a virus or something. I don't know. Anyway,
it's all
who
fake,
remembers
fake
that
news.
now, right? It's not like it changed anything at all. But so I'm like, okay, fine. I started doing that, and it took off. And even though my run for Congress wasn't successful, people kept asking, hey, man, we really need a local voice that is speaking up, because at the time there was no one. Now everybody's doing it, right? But at the time, especially in Northwest Indiana, there was nobody doing that. There were people had, 2 or 3 people, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So I ran for state rep, and my wife is now secretary of the Republican Party. I kind of stepped away from the politics, but I still do the show, and she kind of dove head first. So hey,
Let her take it over.
exactly. It really came down for me. There was number one, I learned a hell of a lot of things when I ran for office. The number one thing is that none of these people are actually your friends. That's what you got to
Oh
get through your
yes.
head. They, these are not your friends. If they can throw you under the bus to get something or come out ahead at all, they will.
To get anything.
And that's true. Yeah, it's not just restricted to politics. I used to tell my mother-in-law all the time. She would talk about her friends at work. And I'm like, those are not your friends. They are work friends. There is a
Right, right.
difference. You guys can hang out, you can chat, but do not tell these people anything important ever, because they will use it against you.
Me and Keith talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
You
All
don't
the
tell them.
time we talk about that shit.
Don't
That's a
tell them your
daily
goals.
conversation of us bitching about our old ladies.
Goals,
Right.
ambitions. If you tell them your next move, they're ready to block it.
Yep.
Right. Right. And so during that same time period, 2020, I ran 2020. Congress didn't work. I was actually approached to run for state rep because I did comparatively pretty well for a guy who had no
Yeah, got your
money.
name out there, got it set, got the
Yeah,
initial
got it
starting stuff
rolling.
going.
So, okay, fine. I ran for state rep, and in 2022, I didn't get it in 2020, but there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. 2022, he thought, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, long story short, are you guys familiar with HRCC? Do you know who they are?
Yeah. Yeah.
HRCC had given me basically a list of things that they were planning to do to help me win in 2022. Okay. Or no, I'm sorry, that was 2020. It had to be, because this was Holcomb had come out with the mask mandate. Correct. And I had a conversation with a state rep at the time who told me, "Oh, stick close to Holcomb. If he says, this, da 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 da." I said, "I can't do that. I'm not going to tell people to do something that I don't believe is legal or ethical or constitutional."
Or
And all the
necessary, or works, or does a
right,
goddamn thing.
right. Here's the thing: if you want to walk around wearing something on your face,
More
go
power to you.
for it.
Yep.
Yeah, if you as a business owner want
The
to
Japanese have made
require
a
it,
living out of doing it.
to each their own, man. If you want to drive your little Prius around with the thing on your face all day long, go for it. I don't care. I'm all for you guys do whatever you want. But
How very libertarian of you, Dion.
right. So here's the thing is, and people, I don't think people realize this, the libertarian movement is very, very, with a couple of little exceptions, is very similar to the fundamental basics of the Republican Party platform.
Without a doubt.
And you guys know this, being former, Republicans yourselves. And it's the ideal, I think, that draws people in to the party, especially newer, younger people. And then they see what really is going on and the compromises that happen. And look, guys, the Indiana should be one of the freest, best states in the frickin' union, with a super majority that we have, and a governor and a this and a that are all allegedly dyed in the wool hardcore Republicans. But look at the fucking legislation we're dealing with,
Yeah.
man. Look at the
Yeah,
gas
So
taxes.
you just said the compromises that happen. The only people that have to compromise, we talked about this a little bit. I just had my old buddy Kevin Tracy on, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin Tracy. He was involved in Republican politics quite a bit, known him forever. And we had a little discussion, because I remember back in the day, I wrote a piece called "The Three-Legged Stool," and it was about, because I used to do a lot of writing for his website and shit. And I told him, I said, I look back now and I think about that article more often than not, and I think about how stupid it was. Like the Republican Party is not a three-legged stool. The Republican marketing is the three-legged stool, but the Republican Party itself is a neocon, neocon, neocon. The worst kind of Republicans that you can imagine, the ones that only want corporate tax cuts, that don't give a shit about anything with the social stuff. They would sell out your gun rights in a second if it meant that they could make Palantir two more points on the stock market. Those are the ones that actually run the system, that actually run the party.
Yeah.
And so the marketing side of it is they bring in the paleo conservatives, they bring in the libertarians, they bring in the social conservatives, right? But they don't give a shit. You know this, man. That's the thing about it. Like, you cut the two legs off the stool, and that's what you're left with. You're left with the Republican Party. And so that was one of the things that we were going back and forth on with
And
it.
that third leg is just one they want you to suck on.
Yeah. The third leg is the one dangling in the middle, and obviously, oh, I love you, buddy. So obviously we're coming at it from, and it actually looks bad because I feel like on this screen I'm looking at, you got Keith and I on two sides, and you're sitting here going, well, hold on. I feel like even the way that the blocks are, but you that the compromises, it would be one thing if there was a compromise, and every once in a while something that Ron Paul talked about made any sort of movement forward, right?
Right.
I mean, look at the legislation that just got passed. They just said that, oh, hey, we're gonna extend the warrantless wiretaps.
Yeah.
We're gonna extend that, and then we're also, oh, by the way, we're also going to be able to turn your car off. Good luck, asshole.
What the hell is that crap, man? So anyway, woo.
So anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted you on a tangent.
No,
Go on.
you're good, man. I am self-aware enough to understand, and I actually did a show about this recently.
I actually watched that now, and I was like,
there's a difference between loyalty and fealty, and that's actually from a state senator, Mike Bohacek, during the conversation that we had, because he spoke at a breakfast that I'm a part of, and he cautioned people that. And once I talked to him and I understood exactly what he was saying, it came off as don't do this and don't do that, tone down the campaigning, but that wasn't it. He reminded people that at least in LaPorte County, we've had Republicans in charge for a number of years. And if you're going after, we might have a Republican who's a steaming pile of, but the party itself has been in charge. And so when you go attacking fellow Republicans and what they've done, it can be construed as. And he made a good point, and this is where third parties and independent candidates really can strike, is unfortunately, just because you share the same letter behind your name, you're not automatically loyal to another person who took the same damn oath that you did.
Yep, it's supposed to be just a place for you to, just a platform for your ideas. That's what the ultimate thought about. And it's funny you bring that up, because I was just thinking about it today while I was cutting the grass, and I was thinking about the differences between, because I was thinking about this show, it was a couple hours before, and I was like, some of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and whatnots. And one of the things that came up in my mind was, the differences between the Libertarian Party, now that I've been involved for several months now.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it is I go to these events, and you have all of these guys that are very much, first of all, it's funner. These events are way funner. Like, look, I'm not gonna lie, the Libertarians are a little different breed. We have a little more fun, Not that I didn't have that fun at all the Republican ones, but it was a little, it was that, So
no, I get it, man.
But it was, the problem is that, the big joke is that all the Libertarians, everybody in this, and I think Evan McMahon made the joke at the Indiana convention. He said, everybody in this room knows that you are individually the best Libertarian here. That's the joke. Every Libertarian is the best Libertarian. No, there's not another person that is smarter than me. I am the most. And even Spike Cohen made a good joke. And he goes, listen, you're all neurodivergent. I know this. Everybody in this room, we're all neurodivergent. The trick is that you have to learn from the parties. There are some good things to learn from the main parties, and that is to rally the troops, right? So if God forbid where the Republicans are going to be fucked is because I see this year, I see the Libertarians starting to rally, fucking circle the wagons. They're starting to say, okay, you don't have to be in a completely open borders guy. You don't have to be completely this. You don't have to be completely that. Bring it in. Bring it in. You're against both these guys. We're gonna get in here and we're gonna cause some shit. That's what I'm.
I think that is because you've had back-to-back presidents that have failed you. You had Biden, and then after Biden, you come back with Trump, and Trump 2.0 is not the same as Trump 1.0. It's
Well,
different.
Trump 1.0 was so tarnished with all the Steele dossier bullshit, right? Trump 1.0, I don't even really remember that much about what he does because everybody was marching. It was like a bunch of shit. It was a bunch of stuff that didn't have anything to do with him, you know? And so then you had back-to-back 8 years of Biden screwing the pooch, Trump screwing the booch, and you're like, what are we doing here, man? You know? So no, I think that's a good point though, Keith.
It is a good point, and you make an excellent point because unfortunately, Trump's first term, not only the Steele dossier garbage, but there were so many, the constant impeachment bullshit, the like you said, the marching, the Hillary Clinton dossier stuff, the obstructionists, the never Trumpers that were in power. We were supposed to have during the Trump's first term, we were supposed to have control of the House and Senate. But you had all of these people who hated Trump so much that they couldn't possibly back every single thing he tried to do was stopped. Whether it was
Yep.
in the House, the Senate, stall it, this, that. And unfortunately, during the second Trump term, we have a lot of the same shit. It's not quite as
Slightly,
prevalent.
slightly. I think it's a little different this time. I think this Trump term, it's a lot less of the Democrats trying to impeach, and I think it's more of oh, the Democrats want to do this. Well, we're going to threaten you with these little documents we got from Epstein. Oh, the Republicans want to do this. Well, the Democrats, we're going to threaten you with these documents from Epstein. And then it's, oh, Netanyahu wants this done. Guess what? I'm going to threaten you with the same fucking documents.
Yeah, there's definitely something. There's a different air to
I think TYT, whatever
the
the
Young
hell they're
Turks.
called. Yeah, the
Mhm.
Young Turks. I think they're onto something when they say uniparty. They've been saying uniparty over and over again. And I think the Epstein files are kind of proving it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it again. I don't give a shit what letter is behind someone's name. If you committed a crime against children, public execution. Let's put it on pay-per-view and sell tickets and give that money to the victims or their families, because it's ridiculous that anyone is still walking around that was involved in that.
Well, it's crazy is that you had
Bring back the
it,
Coliseum.
yeah.
There, yeah.
Well, and and so this is where my brain goes in two different directions, right? Because on the one side, I'm with you, 101 cajillion percent. Open up the documents. Let's see who's who. But since they won't release the documents, I'm to a point now where you've got those documents. You've got the just absolute information that's coming out about the Iran war. You've got the absolute misinformation that's come out with the Democrats,
Here,
the time
hold
before.
on, then.
So you've
Hold on. I'm going to stop you just for a second because it's important to, in my opinion, to address this. There's, quote, misinformation from alleged news organizations. That's the problem. People don't know where they can look for actual facts. You have, and I'll admit it, I've seen some shit come out of the White House, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But on ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, you can't trust any of that shit anymore. It is so
Yep.
incredibly important to independently verify. But when we're suffering from I forget, there's a term for it, but basically where you're surrounded by water and you starve in the ocean or die of thirst, even though you're surrounded by water because you can't drink it. There's so much information with the internet that
Mhm.
finding the actual truth is almost impossible. And the
Well,
Trump
I think
administration did release millions and millions of documents for
I think
the Epstein.
for this just for example, I think the US media, the United States media, they're behind the 8 ball. Now that everything is so out and open and readily available, they're behind the they're late in making the cover up. Like, bombing the school, I heard about that 2 days before it was reported here. One of our aircraft carriers.
What did the White House say, though? What did the White House say about it? Oh, lots of people have Tomahawk cruise missiles, which is bullshit.
Well,
Lots of people don't have Tomahawk cruise missiles. There's like 3 of them. It's like
another
us and
one I
who we
heard,
sell them
though,
to, and one of them's Israel.
another one I heard was 2 God, it was a US aircraft carrier that was bombed that's in Greece now, and it's down for a year, and there was, I wanna say F-14s, 2 F-14s that were shot down. I heard about
F-15,
F-14s or F-15s. I heard
F-15.
about that, and, I was talking to a guy I work with about it, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" I go, "I just seen this the other day." 2 days later, ABC News posted, "2 F-15s shot down." I'm like, "I've already heard about this."
Well, it's sad when when the media, the alternative media, quote unquote, are the ones that are getting you the information faster and more accurately. I've been hearing that Iran's been a clusterfuck since
It's
the
not
beginning.
necessarily the alternative media, though. It's just the media from other countries.
Right. Well, that's why I said the quote unquote alternative media. Like listen, I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting that every bullshit, because I get what you're saying, Dion. You're talking about every bullshit AI story that, and
Yeah.
there's plenty of AI bullshit that
Right.
gets out there. Listen, I vet my sources fairly well. Like I listen to a lot of Judge Napolitano. I listen to a lot of a lot of Martyr Made, a
John
lot of
Kiriakou, you listen to that guy
John
all the time.
Kiriakou, a lot of TYT. Like I do, I like John Kiriakou. Like I listen to people that, and they're the ones that are saying like, and so you know that they are
Oh,
vetting
wait a
it.
minute. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm right. Is Kiriakou the one that is doing for what, RT now, or is that the other guy who's against them? Who
RT,
think
what's that?
it's Russian state media? Is Kiriakou the one that's doing? There's a clip that I saw. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. But it's 2 ex-CIA guys. One is working for Russian state media, and the other one's like, because is Kiriakou the one that exposed the torture?
Yes.
Okay, that's who I'm, yeah. That's not the guy that I'm saying, "Fuck that guy." It's the other one that,
Are you talking about the
I
one that they tried to blow up? He works for Russian state media. He was on Tucker Carlson recently.
Yeah.
He was the one that they tried to blow up. He works for Russian state media, but he's worked for Russian state media. He's a British guy that
He
worked
got
for him
double
forever.
tapped.
Yeah,
no, this guy, so Kiriakou blew the whistle on the torture, right, by the
yes,
CIA.
waterboarding program.
Yeah, and then they sent him to prison for it. He got out. This is a guy who has recently, he's really gone. He's ex-CIA, and he's got the fuzzy hair, and he's constantly talking about how, I can't remember the guy's
I
name.
know who
Anyway,
you're
you guys,
talking about. I don't can't think of
I
his
can't think
name.
of his name because I don't care about him, but I've seen him making the rounds, and he's selling this, how to protect yourself from the CIA crap. And he's telling Kiriakou that, "Oh, basically, you're a traitor." And Kiriakou's like, "How am I supposed to feed my family?" Right? They threw me in prison. Anyway, it was on a podcast that they did together. Excellent watch, by the way.
Are you thinking about PDP? You're talking about what's his name? Um,
Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David. He was on the Patrick Bet David podcast recently. I
Maybe
know they had
that might have
they had
been
a
it.
big
I
thing
saw a
about it
clip from
because
it.
Patrick Bet David has been a super big Zionist forever.
I I don't know. I didn't watch him. I saw a clip of it from like the Warren Smith scholar guy. You know who I'm talking about? The professor that got canned because he taught his students to think.
I'm not sure. I'd have to without I don't know the name off the top of my head, but
Anyway,
yeah.
the whole point is the guy told Kiriakou that, well, you worked for the CIA, you still owe your government. And Kiriakou's like, fuck this government. I love my country, but fuck the government.
Yeah.
I should show some sort of allegiance to the place. Anyway, he's like, yeah, I exposed. And the other guy was like, you're responsible for your actions. And the guy's like, I reported illegal activity. And the guy's like, well, yeah, but you did it wrong.
That's
You
not true. He didn't do it wrong. He went through he's gone through several
I'm
times on
just
the podcast about
yeah,
how he went to his direct person and they told him to shut the fuck up about
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
then he was like, he kind of had a crisis of conscience. Like, well, shit, what do I do? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to derail, but
No,
the
no, no,
point
no. Listen,
is this guy, he's still like either he's still active CIA, which wouldn't surprise me at all, or he doesn't understand what it
Kariaku, you
means to
think?
be a real American.
Oh, the
Not
other guy?
Kiriakou, the other one.
Yeah, yeah, because Kariaku he's had a couple of people that have kind of made the same thing, like, oh, you're just like a CIA double agent, and he's like, I spent time in prison. Not only did he spend time in prison, he categorizes how they screwed him. He was supposed to be in like easy going prison, and when he got there, they shoved him over in the other one. And when he called his lawyer was like, honestly, by the time we appeal and we try to do a bunch of stuff, he's like, just put your head down, make it work, man. Like he was in like prison, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't agree with him on everything. It's like anything else, John Kiriaku's definitely more liberal than I am. He calls himself, I think, at this point, kind of a lefty libertarian. I think I've heard him categorize it at some point.
I think with I don't know with the
Bustamante.
way politics are going
Who?
now. I think
Andrew Bustamante.
Andrew Bustamante. I'll have to write that down because I want
That's
to check
who,
that out.
and the name of the video, I highly recommend you guys watch this video because it's excellent. It is CIA agent attacks John Kiriakou mid-interview, and it backfires spectacularly. It's
Okay,
Warren
check that
Smith
out.
Secret Scholar Society.
All right.
The guy who has this podcast, he was a professor. He was teaching his students to critically think, and you can't have that
nope.
in universities anymore.
No, because you're not a student. We just need to get you out of there, get you into the workforce, start paying taxes.
Yep. Yep. Just another cog in the machine, man.
Yep.
So, anyways, Keith, you were in the middle of something, and we interrupted you. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly what my point was, but it was basically the political atmosphere now.
Yeah,
I don't
you
wanna
were saying the political answer.
I don't want to say you've created the Libertarian Party, but it's definitely got a surge going. But I think the Democrat Party has that same surge, but they're very quiet.
But then, do you
No,
have a surge though? If you're being very quiet, like,
Here, let's think of
are
this.
you just biding your time? You know what I mean?
Let's think of this, though, Travis. You're running as a libertarian. Okay,
See,
you're
sorry, I'm
former
so used to speaking Spanish with people.
former elected Republican, but we've already interviewed two Democrats that are new to the party, just like you, Dion. When you wanted to run for state rep, you were new to the party. You were green. You know, you didn't understand the inner workings. We interviewed Kate for state as a Democrat, and what's that in Tyler Bridges? They're green too. They have no clue, and now
State
you're
rep
talking
and
shit
state
about 'em.
senate,
Yeah,
respectively.
they have no clue about the inner workings of the party. And if I'm not, they have a tough row to hoe, but it's actually kind of nice to see new people trying to get involved, or at least getting involved for the right reasons.
It is. And I will say, and this is I have a couple of friends that are Democrats. One of the things that I believe is critically important, however you feel, if you guys, if you believe that the far left progressive agenda is something that we need in this country, run for precinct committee person. If you believe that the more traditional JFK Democrat style is what we need, run for precinct committee person. If same thing on the Republican Party, if you're a MAGA and you believe that, and I just want to address something really quick. Unfortunately, the term MAGA has been just,
Taken over.
I don't want to call it corrupted, but there is such, it just depends on who you're talking to as to their connotation when you say that term. Because it literally just Make America great again. But the problem is, what does that mean to you? Right?
Yep.
What does making America great again signify? And
Well, there's
there,
been enough time now that it's created its own branding, right? So
right.
it's created obviously by Trump. So now we are in year 10, well, more than 10, probably 11 or 12 of him using it as a marketing slogan. And then you even see his own true socials of him saying, yeah, MAGA, I am MAGA. So anybody that was involved in the MAGA movement, you look at how he just shoved off Marjorie Taylor Greene. You look at how he just shoved off Thomas Massey, how he just shoved off all these other parts of people that were a part of his initial initiative. And so now he sits there and says, I am MAGA. MAGA is whatever I say I am. He's drinking the Kool-Aid at this point.
You know what I'm curious about? Who owns the copyright on "Make America Great Again"? Does Trump own it?
I'm sure he's dude, he's so fucking legalistic. I'm sure he
Oh, I know.
does.
Well, I'm waiting for him to. His term will be over, and then everybody that goes out there and says "Make America Great Again," lawsuit, lawsuit, lawsuit.
Maybe.
It's not
Maybe.
outside the realm of possibility.
I mean, he's very litigious. That's the word I was looking for. He's very litigious.
You know what, though? To defend the president for a moment, look at the shit this man has been through. Regardless of how you feel about him, if you can take an objective eye just for a moment, dude, there's no way in hell, even starting with billions of dollars, that I'd have gone through all the shit that this man has had to wade through. He's had people smear his name, call him a racist, spy on his campaign, fill his cabinet, fill the White House with leakers and obstructionists, got sued, tried to impeach his ass twice, tried to kill him multiple times, and then get on fucking TV and make jokes about it. Dude, number one, fuck the Democrats. And if you're a Democrat that doesn't believe that way, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the individuals that led the charge against someone who, guys, take everything else away. Forget about all of everything from the time he came down the escalator. Look at before that, just for a moment, he was best friends with the same people who turned around and called him a racist. Like, I completely understand him suing the news, him suing this person, him suing that person. Like, if I was president, I don't know that I wouldn't do some shady ass behind the scenes shit to get some of these people for the damn things they put him through. I mean,
and if we were looking at this time, even a year ago, year and a half ago, I would be much more I would be much more in your camp. This past year and a half, he's burned all those bridges, man. I was with you on the first term. I was with you with the Steele dossier. I was with you with everybody turning their back on him, Oprah turning their back, everybody trying to say, oh, all of a sudden he's this racist, fear-mongering, whatever. 100%. I didn't vote for the guy. I rooted for him from afar. I was like, God, anybody's better than a continuation of 4 more years of Sleepy Joe. And then I would realize that that's not actually true. There is something worse than 4 more years of Sleepy Joe. There's 4 years of somebody that lies to your face and then goes in and does the literal exact opposite. It's not just like he said, well, maybe we can, not like he kicked around these wars. He said flat out to Jeb Bush, your brother is a fucking war criminal. And then he went and pulled this shit. He said flat out, we're going to create Doge and we're going to save money and we're going to send checks. And then he barely floated. As soon as there was anything going on with it, he cut and run, right?
Hold on,
he went through, we're not done. Tariffs. He had the tariffs. He had the tariffs that he got that he knew it was going to be fucked up on. And not only did he get fucked up on, he made sure that all of our prices rose for all these for this whole fucking year and a half. And then instead of giving any cost of savings to us, the people that paid the tariffs, he went ahead and made sure that big business. And then not only that, but he had all the people that were in his administration that were betting money that the tariffs were going to lose, that he made money on. And on top of that, then you have the Trump coin. You have the fact that every time that he makes a true social, you have all the betting markets going up. This guy isn't just like, listen, I was with you for a while. Like, I was with you for a little bit. I wasn't on the Trump train, but I was like, all right, this is better than the but. This past year and a half, he done proved to me that he's a goddamn spineless piece of shit.
Yeah, and
Like
speaking of the
I am not anywhere near like listen, man, and I'm not saying that about all Republicans by any stretch of the imagination. This motherfucker, he didn't just come on and say, he didn't just pull a George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush, read my lips, no new taxes. He pulled, imagine, this is a Watergate type scandal. Everything that's been going on in this administration is Watergate style. The amount of money that we've given to Israel, the amount of things that we've done for that goddamn country, there's going to be more going on. That the bomb. I mean, we in the past year, I'm having to think about it. We went and abducted a fucking Venezuelan president. Whatever your thoughts on that, you can say good, but there's still such a thing as international fucking law. We bombed a bunch of their goddamn ships out of the fucking sky or out of the goddamn ocean for no fucking reason, claiming that they were drug boats, but not giving any sort of due process whatsoever. Now we're sitting here trying to sit here and say that the goddamn strait over in Iran that we're putting a blockade on, that their blockade is illegal, but ours isn't. So I'll stop him.
Back to Doge. Congress stopped that shit. Congress had the opportunity. Hold on. Congress had
voted
the opportunity.
Voted it down. You're right. The Republicans in Congress voted it down, but then Trump didn't have any pushback. Trump dissolved it.
They didn't. Here's the thing, right? And Rand Paul even talked about it. The very Doge cuts that we found, right, that were found by the Doge team, spineless, worthless Republicans voted to continue all this stuff, all of this money that was going. I am no fan of the power that Israel has in our country. I've talked about Gus Savage and his speech.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your podcasts. I know you're not exactly you know.
I am not an Israel shill. However, I do believe that the situation in Iran, while not a fan, I believe an argument can be made. If you look at leaders going back, every single one of them has talked about Iran. And if they do this and if they do that, Obama bent over backwards for him. I'm not here to defend the president. He can defend himself or not. I do think it's absolute horse shit that they arrested a spec ops guy who made a bet on the whole Maduro thing.
Yes,
when
that's
it's
crazy.
Perfectly okay for Congress. They're not prosecuting any of these people. Allegedly, there's like what $2.1 billion in behind the scenes bets. I don't know who's responsible. I have no clue. Wish they'd toss me a few bucks. I'm just saying I could use a couple new rifles. But anyway,
I don't know about you, but all my guns fell into the water in that boating accident. I don't know.
Right.
It's crazy.
I will say I don't know if you've been paying attention to the ATF, but allegedly the new head of the ATF is working on unrestricting a lot of stuff and making a lot of changes. How that shakes out, fingers crossed.
In what respect? Regarding what?
They're recalling the pistol brace. There's a whole list of stuff that the guy is tackling. I'd be happy to send it to you.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to see, because let's face it, the Second Amendment is pretty damn clear, shall not be infringed, in my opinion. And Republicans have done nothing but give ground for
Trump was responsible for the bump stock ban.
Absolutely, which I was wholeheartedly against. Buddy of mine, if you look back, we had an episode of Coffee Break before it. We're going to try to restart that anyway.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Before I got sidetracked and moved and all this other stuff, but he was like, you know what? Fuck bump stocks. They're shit anyway. It's fine. And I said, it's not the fucking point, man.
Right.
I don't care if you like them, hate them, if they're useless. The point is, shall not be infringed. And every time we give a little ground, it bites us in the ass. They just want more. Look at fucking Virginia, man.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as it stands right now, while I had Rainwater on when no other Republicans were even mentioning his name. am a libertarian at heart, but libertarians aren't going to win unless and until there is a major shift of people who are just, dude, the sheer number of people who just straight ticket, straight ticket, straight ticket.
Yeah,
For the
the
love of
Indiana
God,
law doesn't help that.
I am opposed to straight ticket voting. I think you should have to go to each one and select it. But,
I agree.
it is what it is. The law is what it is. And unfortunately, people continue to just, pull. And what's really funny to me is if you look, you go into the records, right? And you look at the numbers, you'll see that the number of straight ticket votes in the general greatly exceed the number of primary votes cast. That's a problem because your real change happens in the primary.
Well, within the actual parties, but
That's what I'm talking about, is
again,
in the part.
you know the same issues that we've talked about earlier with the Republican and the Democrats. Like, and I was going to say this earlier when you were talking about, like, well, okay, if you want a more progressive Democratic Party, then you should go in and you should vote for your precinct committeeman, and you should do that. That sounds all well and good, but the reality is that then money comes in. One of my people that I was following and pushing for, and I'm still trying so hard to get her on the show. I've sent her like 6 different messages. I'm getting to a point where she's gonna like call me a creeper. Is that Kat Abu Gazubu? I'm saying the name way wrong. And she just posted something.
Definitely not coming on after you've butchered the name.
Yeah, after I fucked her name up, she's not coming
Right.
on. Well, she's a Palestinian girl, young little blonde thing. She was running for and dude, she was impressive. And one of her biggest things, she was super anti-APAC, and she was running against these 2 old crusty fucks. And like, there was a couple of things that she would be doing there, and they'd ask a question, and you would see them like they had a sign, and one sign was like a green and one was a red, like yes or no, right?
Okay.
And they would ask a question, and she would unequivocally, like within seconds, like give the yes or the no answer. And you could see the politicians being like, and you know what? No, I am ready, I am ready for, the boomer generation as a whole. Not all boomers. I'm not trying to be a dick.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm ready for the boomer generation to hand the fucking reins over. Because I'll tell you what, those are the fucking problems. That's the biggest issue. Is all these people that are like, oh no, it's fine. We've got to fight him over there, so we don't fight him here.
Right.
God, I've been hearing that for 40 fucking years, man. Like, it's absolutely retarded. So you've got the Democratic Party that you see the progressive side try to emerge, right? We hear all the stories about how they had the Ron Pauls that tried to push their way into having more delegates, and how the party made it so they get fucked over. You've heard the stories about how Hillary Clinton basically fucked over, oh, what's that old fucker? Bernie Sanders, thank you.
Yeah, twice.
Hillary Clinton, yeah, she fucked him over twice, and he still comes on and talks and does his thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan, but you know what? I respect Bernie Sanders, because you know what? For the most part, he gets up and he throws himself in front of stuff. I don't agree with him. I wouldn't vote for him for president. There's lots of things I don't think. I think he's a hypocrite with all the houses, but I will say that there are times that he does. He'll go against it every once in a while, but for the most part,
man, it's
what's
all
that?
about the sound. It's sound bites. It's sound bites and fundraising.
Money.
That's it. Yeah,
it's all the money. And so that's why I want the libertarians to circle the goddamn wagons and start really pushing. And I think this is gonna be the year of crawling before we walk, and you're gonna have the next couple of cycles of walking before you run. And I think, look at the statistics, man. The statistics are for like 40 to 45% of all Americans are independent at this point.
Yeah.
That's the majority. If you split the Republicans and Democrats pretty much down the middle, that's each one at around 30. Well, boom, you have more independents than anything.
Yeah, but I think that there is a fundamental disconnect between the libertarians as a party and the messaging, right? Because you have people who, and I'm going to use a fictitious example. Okay. You have a guy who goes on TV and at a debate and does things or says things that are just you're not going to get elected when you do and say the things that this individual does. And so it reflects poorly on the rest of the party. A prime example is the president. If you hate Trump, there's a good chance that it's a reflection of the Republican Party to you. If you love Trump, then you probably are favorable towards Republicans at this. Ultimately, we are, as much as we may not want to be, we are a reflection or at least an ambassador of our party. So when a libertarian candidate says some nonsensical shit, like we should just throw the border open and let everybody in, then that's a problem. And people go, I can't vote for this party.
See, though, we also have a president that has tweeted just in the past, like, 4 weeks. You knew I was going there. Open the strait, you crazy bastards. I'm going to destroy an entire civilization. Praise Allah. I mean, there's the classics. There's the grab him by the pussy. I've got. There's so many different things that this dumb shit said. That's just like I could just like so I get what you're saying. I also think that in 2026 we have the most forgiving culture. We have the most culture that's willing to say, as long as you're willing to come out and say, all right, you know what? And this is where I give the pushback, is that I would say that my biggest issue with the libertarians as far as running and winning is that you have the libertarians that every libertarian thinks that they're the smartest person in the room, right? So everybody has a general idea about what a Republican stands for, what a Democrat stands for, at least what the marketing is, right? The libertarian marketing is pretty much fuck the government. Well, that's a pretty wide open thing, right?
It is.
So as long as the party itself is willing to say, hey, we are a platform for you. And generally speaking, we have, if you go to the LPG or whatever it is, lp.org, whatever the libertarian website is, it'll tell you what all the main points are, liberty and whatnots. But listen, there's Republicans that run that are pro-choice, right? There's Democrats that run that are pro-life. You don't have to be 110%. Well, let me close off real quick because I do want to talk about actual politics with you.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go and you know what I mean? Like, I do want to talk about the LaPorte stuff, and I actually want to talk about that
Trump?
because there is an interesting thing. I didn't realize there were so many damn independent candidates in that race. Did you know that?
On which one?
The Secretary of State.
There's a lot.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. I was looking into it earlier, and I'll parse this up. My whole point with the libertarians is before we took a quick break, is that as long as they can learn enough from the R's and the D's, but the good parts about the libertarians is that they're willing to at least right now, it's easy to say it when you don't have any power, right? But at the end of the day, the libertarians are willing to and able to say, this is even if it's not going to profit me, this is the right fucking answer. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, sure, it might not be exactly what puts money in my pockets. I have to turn down some donor money, but this is what is best for the country and what is best for everybody, right? So yeah, that was all I was going from, and I'll parse it out. I'll take out the short break and edit it up so it looks like it makes sense. But like what you were saying though with Diego Morales and all that with the Secretary of State race, like that is interesting. So what do you think? Do you think Diego Morales is going to be back on the ballot when it comes to the convention? When is the Republican convention?
The actual date of it, wife's looking it up. She's off camera.
She's like, I got it.
June 20th.
Okay.
June 20th. So I think it's going to depend on the election. I think it's going to heavily depend on the kind of turnout that we get for the primary election. And that's what I mean. The primary election, guys, if you are registered to vote and you haven't decided yet or are not planning to vote in the primary, get your ass to the box, dude. Get your ass to the ballot box. Because if you truly are either sitting there watching this or have thought to yourself, it's always the same people on the ballot, it's because you don't go vote in the primary. There are,
That is true.
and I'm here to tell you, even if you are in general, I don't really care kind of a person, but you believe all incumbents should be voted out every time, primaries were to make that happen.
Well, you still got to show up and vote in the. Yeah, you get two shots to, if you really want to vote out an incumbent, you got two shots at it.
But the
My
primary is
computer's
your best
dying.
chance.
What's that? Your computer's dying. I see you in the dark. Do you guys still not have power?
No, we got it,
Okay.
and my iPad's messed up.
Oh, I got you. Well, we were doing the last podcast, and he literally lost power while we were doing it. He's like, "We probably better wrap this up. I only have internet for."
Right. Yeah, I got just finishing up the what is it, the buffering, and then I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, he was able to quick do a, he's a smart guy. I wouldn't say that. I don't know if he's on the show. I don't know if he can hear me, but he jumped on and made made it a hotspot or all that, whatever. But so I didn't realize. So there is. So hold on, let me pull it up. Give me all of the Secretary of State candidates in Indiana. Like it, because I saw a Times article on it, and I don't remember what the point of it was, but it was. I know, obviously, we've got the Libertarian candidate, Lori Schillings, and she's actually, dude, she's impressive. Like, that's the thing about it. She's a very impressive dude. She was she demands a room. Like, she's one of those. I think I said on a past one, I was like, man, this is a bad bitch. You know what I mean? Like, and I think Keith was like, do you really think that that's maybe? I'm like, whatever. But she is, dude. She knows her shit. In fact, we're gonna have her on sometime soon. I just gotta schedule it with her. But yeah, I got a chance to meet her, got a chance to talk to her. She was, she's a good candidate. All right, here we go. Of course, god damn it, why is this thing running like crap? Just give me all my, come on, Chad GPT. Oof, right. I'll edit that out. So. But
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say though, but see, that's good to know. I mean, I don't know why is it not giving it. Well, tell me about. I know that there's some shenanigans going on in your neck of the woods. Spill some tea, brother. Spill some tea.
All right, so yeah, where to begin? All right, so I'm going to give you the short version, and I'll let you ask about the parts that you're interested in. Okay, so we have several very contentious races going on right now in the primary. One of the highest profile is for commissioner. County commissioner, the incumbent Connie Grammarosa, has been under fire for a number of things during her tenure. And this is all public record. Look it up. She has forged another commissioner's signature. She took the county vehicle out of state and was involved in an accident and a bunch of other stuff. She's the subject of a federal lawsuit, which I'm a part of, for political retaliation firings, First Amendment violations, the whole 9 yards. She actually asked the county attorney if there was a way to fire an elected official. This is not someone who should have any degree of power.
Sounds like a genius.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to. I want to so bad, but I'm not going to. Look back at commissioner meetings where she was the president. See for yourself and judge for yourself. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway.
We had a couple of those in Porter County over the years.
So there is another individual running against her in the primary. Now, this all stems, her whole fucking problem with me stems from when my wife ran against her in the Republican primary for commissioner.
Dare she? How dare she?
Exactly. How dare she? So whatever, man. Grammarosa won because she had name recognition. Good for her. Cool. Liz was a good party person. She was a good Republican. She jumped in. She helped her win. She went and put signs, fucked her brand new car up. Scratched it up and shit over with these ugly fucking signs, but She did. She was a good Republican. She did what she was supposed to do when she lost the primary. On social media, she's helping get her elected. Commissioner, which is another commissioner, Commissioner Grammarosa, and at the time, Mrazinski, they call him Snakes. He lives in Florida. He broke into the building and left a rubber snake. Dude, it's so dumb. And then lied about it. Anyway, this is LaPorte County, dude.
A rubber trouser snake.
What?
Trouser snake.
Rubber trouser snake.
Dude, oh my God. Anyway, she told them, well, Liz and Dion are, which is my wife's name, Liz, are never going to be on a board or have any political power in this county while I'm in power. Really?
Well, that sounds familiar.
Right. Really? Are you fucking kidding me? So whatever. Then they had appointed the now current chair of the Republican Party as highway supervisor for the highway department. Fired him because he pissed her off and because he refused to fire me. She came, saw my truck. I have a truck with my podcast on it. It's hard to miss. It's got the Second Amendment in the back window. You can't fucking miss it. Point is,
that's the best way to get your gun stolen, by the way. Just saying.
I don't keep them in the truck.
Me neither.
For those watching, I do not leave guns in my vehicle. If you want to break into my vehicle, knock yourself out. I got free glass replacement.
I'm just letting you know, like, that was one of the things that not to interrupt or make a thing.
I don't keep shit in my truck, man.
But that was one of the things that I was so surprised about when I saw it was, you know what it was? It was right after the Charlie Kirk murder. I belonged to a couple of different like groups.
Yeah.
And they were a little bit like fringy, whatever. And the number of people that were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's break into a few of these cars that have the Second Amendment things. And I've gotten so many free guns that way. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's the reality of the world we live in. So anyways, go ahead.
And no, you're good, man. And here's the thing, right? And this is what I want to tell people. Be very careful what you put on your vehicle, on your house, stuff like mine's been on there for years. There's a reason that it's on there is because I ran for Congress and I had to get my name out there. Point is, now I just have the podcast on there. Fuck it, might as well. It was already on there, might as well use it. So my truck is very distinctive. She saw my truck. She said to the supervisor at the time, she goes, "Oh, you won't hire my son, who's deaf, by the way. He's deaf."
Huh?
Exactly. Her son, she wanted him to get a job in the highway department.
Right.
With heavy machinery.
You're going to save millions on earplugs.
This is not a fucking office job. Anyway.
Right.
But you won't give my son a job, but you'll hire this disloyal fucker. Bitch, I don't owe you anything. Who the fuck are you? Like, I don't, like, what? Disloyal? Why should I have any loyalty to you whatsoever? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, he didn't fire me. He ended up getting fired, and then I was fired like 4 days later after the interim came, but there's no connection, guys. It was purely coincidental.
So that's just timing.
Right?
That's timing right there.
Break. Anyway, this is like the third fucking lawsuit that she's been a part of since she took office. It's insane. Anyway, that's just one. That's just one. And the individual running against her, Jody Slaybaugh, I've known him at a distance for a long time because he's got a business here in the city. I did business with him, bought some shit at his shop when he was in Marquette Mall when I was in my 20s. That's it. I don't know if he's going to be any better, but I will tell you this, it's a fuck of a lot easier to get rid of somebody new than it is an incumbent.
That's true.
So recycle, reuse, reduce, man. That's all I have to say on that. I mean, and then we've got another, what's turning into a contentious race, which is the state rep for District 20. Oh, and prosecutor. Dude, yeah, that my wife's in the background.
Man. I know where it shows 1 hour and 5, but really it's like an hour. So we got a few minutes. We got some time. Get into it.
Yeah, I got like 20 minutes personally. So the incumbent, Sean Fagan, he won even though he had no real trial court experience. He was a CPS lawyer or child support or something. Anyway, I had him on the show. The former prosecutor, Lake, his wife blames me. She's in her mind, I am the reason Fagan got elected, right? But okay, whatever. I guess I can swing everybody's election but my own. So whatever. The current prosecutor, Fagan, he was planning on running for judge or getting appointed as a judge or some shit. I don't know. But I think he ran polls and went, ooh, no, never mind. But he had told his chief deputy or chief prosecutor, I don't know what they call it there, but Watterson, who was on my show, he told him, all right, I'm going to endorse you. I'm going to step down and you can run. Some devoted time, money, energy, effort into preparing his campaign. And Fagan went, no, never mind. Just hold off for another 4. And Chuck's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm running. I prepared for this. This was good to go. And Sean's like, well, then you're fired. So Watterson's like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. And this is so wild because the former prosecutor before Fagan, John Lake, has actually endorsed the Republican candidate running against Fagan. He's a Democrat, obviously. That's how big, either he's so big mad that he lost that he's willing to endorse, and or the prosecutor's office is such a shit show that he just wants somebody in there.
Could be
People
both.
can have their opinion, or maybe both. Yeah, I don't know. People can have their opinions. I don't know. I will say that I like Chuck. He seems to be a pretty down to earth guy. We talked about a number of things when he came on the show. And one of the things that I have consistently heard from him is talking about the victims of crimes instead of how much it's going to cost the county. And that was a big deal with the current one because he talked to the newspaper and was like, yeah, we like doing plea deals because it's cheaper for the county. You know, and like Chuck said, imagine being a victim of a
Right.
violent crime and hearing that this guy got a year because it was easier and cheaper.
Yeah. Now, if you specify, if you say, hey, we like doing plea deals on, nonviolent,
Bullshit.
small crimes. We
Yeah.
like to just get him. Let's not do the paperwork. Let's not. I mean, I'm personally in favor of that. But yeah. But to say that across the board is asinine.
Right. Right.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. Go.
I was gonna say so talk. Let's talk before we run completely out of time. So talk a little bit about the show because we've talked politics, we've talked all in the weeds, we've talked a little bit about some of your happenings. We'll have you on again here soon. I told you when I first started this thing up when we first started talking, I was like, dude, I want to have you on. Every couple of months, every other month, something like that, and have a good rapport. So talk about what you actually do with your podcast. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that we've been on a couple of times a week, but those have been much more like few and far between types shit. So what is it that you specialize in? What's really your platform?
Right. Well, it started as just me introducing myself to people, letting them, because I thought it was a good idea. I think every candidate for office should spend some time talking to the public, but that's just me. So that's what I ended up turning the show into is I give candidates an opportunity to come on and talk to them. It's not a gotcha interview. It's not well, what about this? Well, what about that? It's just an opportunity for that person to sit there and try to be their authentic self for a few minutes. We have a conversation and we talk about a couple of things. At the same time, I am on the board of Live Free USA, not the anti-gun organization. This predates them, actually. It is one of the oldest survivalist, self-reliance organizations in the country. They go back to the 60s.
That's cool.
Yeah. And basically, they teach water filtration and how to prepare for an emergency. And I'm all about information. I think if more people were educated about facts. And I'm not talking about you went to college and you learned the bullshit that they taught you about gender
Right,
studies.
right.
I'm talking about like understanding how our election works and who this person is and who that person is and how to defend yourself in case of. I worked at a maximum security prison. That was a wake up call. These are all things that people need to know. And so I'm involved with that. As a matter of fact, today we just took one of the presentations that we've freely handed out to other organizations over the years and finally got it on video for our organization. One of our founding members, James C. Jones, he's a prolific author. He's has a history of with I think Fortune 100. I don't know, dude. There's so many Fortune 500, Fortune 300, Fortune, one of the top ones, and he was their crisis management guy, and so he had to do all of these long crisis plans for emergencies, and he spent a number of years writing various manuals for the average person and understanding. You guys know, like, you two seem pretty with it as far as like having a few days of water at your home, having some food,
Oh yeah.
having the ability to defend yourselves. These are things that more people should know and more people should be connected to. The one of the things that I noticed over the years when talking about you prepared for an emergency, your first instinct is always, oh, you're talking about a survivalist and militia. And no, dude,
And
I'm talking about a
I say
fucking
yes. Yes,
hurricane.
I am.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, but in general, though, and that's the problem, right? So initially, I don't just want the pro 2A people or the pro militia people or the pro overthrow the government people to be prepared for emergencies. I want all of us because it's the panic that gets people killed. It's the panic that causes people who know what the fuck is going on to have to defend their family from the panickers. After about a week of no power, no deliveries to the grocery store, no cell phone service, your neighbors are going to turn on you. They're going to have to survive unless you have a network already. And if you have a nice network already, congratulations, good for you. You're doing it right. If you
We
don't,
actually have a whole ass road. Like my little dead end street is all pretty much like
there you
this
go.
we might as well all be like Boogaloo Boys. Like
Yeah.
every person on the
Family compounds, Kyla. Yeah. Yeah. And that's ideal, right? But you've got people who can take steps who live in suburban,
yeah. Yeah.
LaPorte or whatever, who have no clean water. If the water main breaks or whatever, they have, and I'm not saying everyone can afford it, guys. I'm not saying go out and buy a generator and 3,000 pounds of food and all of that.
Well, you
But
don't
there
even
are
need that,
little
but
things
you
that,
can look up the stuff like to do the charcoal filtration yourself. I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
there's stuff,
There's
you
stuff
know.
you can do. Exactly.
Yeah.
You start small, you think about it, you go, okay, well, that's the books that this guy has written focuses on stuff like that, like how to filter water and how to make sure that, that you're able to protect yourself from nuclear, biological, chemical, stuff like that. Because we can talk all day about what this or that would do in a circumstance, but you don't know what other people are going to do until they're in that position. And so that's the entire point of this diatribe, I guess, was to say that that's what I'm pivoting towards in the off season for politics is trying to present information to people that's there. It's there, americansurvivor.org. Check it out. There's tons of articles, there's tons of information, but we
Yeah, I
desperately as
definitely
an
will.
organization, we need to get to the digital age.
So you're expanding just as we are. We're trying not to do 100% politics all the time. If we got we'll have a comedian on, we'll have a fucking ghost hunter on or whoever.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Another thing that I would like to do is I'd like to have, and that's one of the problems. I'd like to have community leaders on. I'd like to have people, but so many people like are so freaked out by politics and we become so divided that they don't want to be associated with someone who was at one time a particular candidate from a particular political party, right? God forbid I go onto a Republican show because all my friends and family are Democrats. I'll be ostracized. What kind of ridiculous shit is that? You can't even have a conversation with somebody in today's society.
Yeah, it can suck. Yeah, though, I do feel like it is, as long as you're able to approach it with the right attitude, which is, okay, I don't give a shit. Like, as long as you're able to approach it with an I don't give a shit attitude, I haven't had nearly as much of a problem with that once you develop that kind of, because I did have an issue with that when I was involved, and of course it's a little bit easier now. I'm a libertarian, so it's like, yeah, you walk into a party and you're like, hey man, fuck them both, and everyone's like, yeah, you're the cool kid at the party now. You got the Republicans are the ones that show up and stop the underage drinking. The Democrats are the ones selling the alcohol. I'm the guy that sells weed. So right. That's the I'm the best one at the party. Everybody loves me.
I'll just say this as far as like, I ran on pro legalization when I ran for Congress and for state rep. I don't, not because I'm particularly in favor of it recreationally, but I think it's bullshit the government tells us what to do. I think it's okay. It's bullshit that alcohol and tobacco and all this shit are regulated but legal, but a plant is fucking, it's stupid. But I'm sick of smelling it, dude. My God, ever since Michigan and Illinois, it became legal, I hate the smell of weed. I always have, even when I was a young guy who would do it, I hate the smell. It kind of makes me a little ill, especially the stuff nowadays. It's strong, man. It's like, oh God.
Like the smell of weed. I don't even particularly care for, don't get me wrong. I'm like anyone else. I'll smoke on occasion, but I'm not like what's that?
Whether you like the smell or you don't like the smell, is that probable cause to pull somebody over? Because you're right, Dion. You smell it from a block away, and then when you pull up on them, you're like, shit, yeah, you're definitely.
See, I was going for a different section though, like from a smell section. Like let's say you were to make it legal. Like, to me, there's nothing wrong with if you're a town. So this is where you have township government and you have town government, right? Mm-hmm. You have city government. So let's put ourselves back on the Hebron Town Council, Keith. All right, weed's legal, but everyone's like, man, the goddamn smell is just everywhere. Okay, well, hey, we're gonna put an ordinance that in public areas, like you can do, like, that's where ordinances are supposed to come from. You know what I mean? Like, if you're getting enough, put it on a ballot. Put it in a ballot initiative.
That's what they did.
Hey guys, the next township election, you can vote on whether or not you should be allowed to, smoke anything in public areas. Right. Here you go. Like, that's.
They tried to actually outlaw smoking in Michigan City, talking about cigarettes, and people showed up, and it did not get passed. So they can't even get that done.
Then if it didn't get passed, then it doesn't get passed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
that's where democracy prevails on the little things. You know what I mean? Like, that's the, and I get what you're saying. I'm on the opposite side. I think it smells great. Like, we'll be driving.
If you love smelling it, then you must be very happy right now, because holy God, man, I can't even cruise on my bike up to the store without it's just me, I get over it. I'm fine.
Is it that bad up by you?
It is. Oh, it's really awful. Dude, it is so, we live right by fucking Michigan, dude. Like,
yeah.
I like straight up 39 and you're in Michigan and there's a ton of dispensaries right there.
They really are.
Yeah, Michigan City and LaPorte are right there. And I am just so fucking tired of smelling it all the time. Michigan City is like, you smell it everywhere all the time. Like, you'll get a whiff of fresh air and then the rest is just a cloud. It feels that way. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but it feels that way.
But I mean, honestly, the pot smoke's probably better air quality than the regular air. I noticed that we just got an F on our air quality again in Northwest Indiana. I don't know if you saw that.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Not at all. I mean, look, I am married to a steel kid. Her dad was in the steel mill. I am not anti-steel at all, but this company has been allowed to get away with some shit that they wouldn't have been allowed to get away with if they were a different industry.
Yep.
So,
That's the biggest issue, really, when you look at politics, is that if everybody just did their fucking job, you know what I mean? If you just did your fucking job and you just said, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going to run on, and then if you just did it, right? It's that simple. Really, it's that simple.
it is.
But that's not what happens, and we've all become so desensitized to it, that the Republicans and the Democrats, they both run on different things, and they go in there and they essentially do the same thing. Yeah, there's things here and there that you can argue and bitch about, but
Let me point out one thing real quick before we end it. Here's a prime example. There's a state rep race where the incumbent has been given over $300,000 by various corporations and a handful of regular people. 300 grand for a job that on the books pays $25K a year.
what race is that, if you don't mind me asking?
State rep, District 20.
District 20 state rep.
Yeah. I'm just saying. And look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. As a person, he's never treated me wrong as a person. He's always been very kind to me. He was very generous. He showed me around the state house when I ran for state rep. But there are some fundamental disagreements that I have with some of the votes that he's done. And I've never made a secret of that.
Yeah.
But when
you shouldn't have
that
to.
kind of money,
You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
You shouldn't have to.
think
You should
someone's
be
a good
allowed,
person.
absolutely allowed to say whatever the fuck you want.
I don't give a fuck. My wife's the party secretary, so I try to not just, here you go, only because I'm worried about her. I care about her, obviously. But ultimately, when that kind of money is dropped into a race, who is pulling the strings on that election?
Yeah.
Who wants that because regular people don't give somebody $350,000 fucking dollars for a job that pays at most, with per diem, with everything, 75 to 80, maybe 90K a year. It's a 2-year term, so to win the primary election, 300 fucking grand? It's like these senator and congressional races. Somebody's making money on it, and it ain't you.
Nope. Hey, listen, it's a big club, and we ain't in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like George Carlin said.
Like
Love
George Carlin said.
man.
You see, rip him and rip. Did you see fucking who died yesterday too?
No.
Singer, country singer. God damn it, what's his name? David Allan Coe.
No way. David Allan Coe died yesterday?
Yep.
No shit.
Yep. David Allan
did
Coe
not know
died
that.
yesterday.
R.I.P. She ran off with another guy.
Yep.
I
It
can't
was
sing
so
the
much
rest.
bigger.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Dion. We'll have you on again here soon. Thanks for shooting the shit with us. We appreciate it.
It was fun.
Obviously, obviously we know you've got a bunch of different things going on. I'm looking forward to coming on to your platform as a candidate.
Absolutely.
I know, like we talked, sometime after the primary. There's no rush. Yeah. I'm already the candidate, so there's no.
Exactly. By the way, I just wanted to drop that real quick. I was watching it with someone, and they were like, "Oh, that was kind of a weird, message intro that you gave." Whatever. And I'm like, not at all. He doesn't. None of these fucking people are going to vote for him. He knows that. He's getting his name out. He's dropping it out there for the general. I thought it was brilliant. So good job.
Oh, what my Duneland?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was.
Well,
I didn't have anything to. I was just throwing it out there to.
No,
yeah. I was. Yep.
good
Yep.
job.
So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad somebody sees the vision. Well, not just that, but then like doing this, like this is growing, and as this grows, you get your name out there. It's I don't make it a secret that when the show was Keith's idea. I give Keith all the credit. The show was Keith's idea, but the timing, Keith's like, dude, I've been watching you fucking go in and out of the fucking.
I was thinking this is how I'm
I
gonna
know,
fade
I
out.
know. You look like a fucking ghost, man. Look like the
Goddamn.
camera's haunted.
It's crazy that well, normally he's got like the big lights behind him, but he's just I don't hate it though. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
kinda
It's
like
not
it too.
awful. Just
Yeah.
just a hair more lighting. Just like 2 or 3 lumen, man, and it'd be glorious underneath you. Like,
I like
remember
being
the
able to
flashlight,
fade
right,
out.
when we were kids? Yeah, that kind of shit.
You
All
got
right,
you
guys,
got
I
to
gotta
wear an
take my
all
kid to
black
work.
shirt.
I'll
though.
see y'all soon.
All right,
This is
peace
Lynn.
out, Dion. I appreciate it. Well, my name's Travis Gearhart. This is Keith Cunningham.
And we
Dion's
are
gone.
disenfranchised.